Hello, and welcome to the Logistics Management Podcast. My name's Jeff Berman. I'm Group News Editor for Logistics Management Magazine and also the Peerless Media Supply Chain Group. Today, it's a real pleasure to welcome back Randy Mullett to our podcast. Randy is a retired member of Conway's executive leadership team and a longtime DC-based transportation lobbyist. Randy's time in D.C. included testifying several times before Congress and the White House Council of Economic Advisors before being named a member of the National Freight Advisory Committee, and he was also vice chair of the National Cooperative Freight Research Program of the National Academies of Science. After leaving Conway, Randy had his own lobby practice in D.C., representing clients ranging from Fortune 50 transportation companies to tech startups. Today, he's a senior partner at Venture 53, a venture fund focused on early stage supply chain tech companies. He also advises several tech startups and serves on several different company boards. Randy and his wife now live in Charlottesville, Virginia. Randy, welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks, Jeff. It's great to be here with you again.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Randy, let's start at the top. And that top would just simply be looking at the current state of transportation infrastructure at both the at the national slash federal level. How do you sort of see things these days?
Well, we're maxed in almost all modes of transportation. We're doesn't matter whether it's rail or air or uh, steamship or truck. And my world has mostly focused on trucking, but in all those modes, we're pretty much trying to put 10 pounds into a 5 pound sack.
Yeah.
Um, we've been reluctant to expand highways. Um, And a lot of ports and airports are landlocked where we just don't have those same opportunities to expand. So it is
Hmm.
a conundrum. And as the economy grows and as people continue to be mobile, it's tough.
Oh, no doubt about it. Um, there's so many moving parts to be sure. Um, so Randy, we're in early June here, but last month, May, was really a kind of a busy month, if you will, on the transportation infrastructure front. One example of that was the United States Department of Transportation rolled out its 2026 National Freight Strategic Plan, defined as a multi-year roadmap for improving the freight that moves more than 54 million tons of goods worth more than $68 billion each day. Some key aspects of the plan focus on the U.S.'s nearly 7 million mile freight network while laying out six goals over the next 5 years. Those goals being safety, efficiency, security, resiliency, innovation, and workforce development. DOT is saying that this plan is meant to guide federal freight policy investment and partnerships with state and private sector groups. Other key components call for reducing freight bottlenecks, improving supply chain visibility, streamlining federal project reviews, and helping states and regions plan more effectively across the transportation network. So basically, Randy, sorry for that long-winded description of the plan. I'd like to get your take on it. How do you view it? And also, is it a good follow-up to the DOT's 2020 National Freight Strategic Plan that was released during Donald Trump's first term in office? DOT said at the time it was a first of its kind and focused on bolstering the U.S. economic competitiveness through long-term investments in infrastructure, the workforce, and other key parts of the national freight system. Very sorry for that word salad. It's just there's a lot going on there with the plan. What are sort of your initial takes on it?
Well, first, you're forgiven on the word salad because it came out of DC and we can expect not much less.
Yeah.
Um, uh, so, couple things. I, as a freight guy, am super, super happy that they're refocusing on freight and that they're focusing on it in a systemic way, all the different modes. How does it interface with the traveling public? How does and its focus is on things that are super, super important. Um, Safety, efficiency, streamlining, those kind of things, and focusing on the economy. the goal of the transportation system is to make sure that we're moving people and goods safely and efficiently in a way that allows the economy to grow and is good for all parties involved. I think this is actually a better plan than in 2026, mostly because the people have had time to think about it. And also because when the administrations changed, the focus changed. We were more focused on environment and the social justice natures of transportation and those sorts of things, which are important, but you can't turn a transportation program into an environmental program or a social justice program. It needs to be influenced by those and help those things. But guess what? If we've got an efficient transportation system that's safe, it takes care of a lot of that right there. We'll be more environmentally friendly.
Yeah.
If it's safe, there's a lot to do with social justice in those ways and how we're taking care of people that are making use of the system. So again, I don't want to minimize things that were important in the last administration, but things are, I think this is great.
No, absolutely. It's definitely a good sign of progress, to be sure. The other transportation infrastructure related initiative that was released last month came from the House Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure in the form of new proposed legislation for a bipartisan 5-year surface transportation authorization, which invests in the nation's roads, bridges, transit, rail, rail transportation, and highway and motor carrier safety programs. The legislation is called the Build America 250 Act, BUILD being an acronym for Building Unrivaled Infrastructure and Long-Term Development for America's 250th Act again. The bill includes various freight focus initiatives. Those include a nationally significant multimodal freight and highway projects effort, National Highway and Freight and High Priority Corridor Program, a study on the effectiveness of discretionary grant programs, as well as for formula grant programs, among many others. What's your initial take on the Build America 250 Act, Randy, and as well as the actual prospects for a new long-term transportation authorization?
So I really appreciate what this act has tried to do from a policy point of view while still being sensitive to members on both sides of the aisle. The T&I committee has traditionally been a fairly bipartisan committee.
Yeah,
This this bill, because Republicans are in charge, gets tagged in the paper or in the reporting as Republican bill approved by T&I committee. This bill passed 62-2.
yeah,
It was like the most bipartisan passage of this bill in decades. So I think that it's one of those things where common sense, common goals, and back to the basics of transportation, which are back to that safety and efficiency and good order of what we got, and make capacity increases where we need them, keep bottlenecks at a minimum, and invest in those things that slow the system down. Um, I love the streamlining stuff that has been put back in, and that's streamlining, which is streamlining the NEPA processes and things like that. Getting the permits. This should statutorily mean that NEPA from a federal level has one lead agency. So in other words, used to be Army Corps of Engineers would approve it, EPA would approve it if it was near water, Housing and Urban Development would approve it if it was someplace else, and it was just a mess. So anyway, I'm loving that. I also like the focus on highways and freight and less, I don't want to call them frou-frou things, but things that are less core. When I first went to Washington, which was 2001, they actually called this the highway bill. And I think that it's kind of getting back towards its roots.
Okay, understood. That's a great point. And to your point, Randy, about the 62 to 2 vote, that just anecdotally, that reminds me of a conference I was at. This was some time ago. It was when Ray LaHood was the secretary of DOT. And he said something that always stuck with me when addressing transportation infrastructure. He says something like, "There's no such thing as a Republican road or a Democratic bridge," meaning that transportation is truly a bipartisan endeavor. And that, like I said, that comment stuck with me, and I think that vote, that 62 to 2 vote, also kind of bears that out. So just wanted,
Exactly.
yeah, just wanted to add that. Um, so, and I think you've addressed a fair amount of this, Randy, but if I'm a supply chain stakeholder, if I'm a shipper, if I'm a motor carrier, intermediary, whatever it may be, what are the key things and I guess you could put on your Conway hat, if you will. What are some of the things that industry stakeholders view as needed or vital within a new bill? And I'm talking about the authorization here, not
Right.
the yeah. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
So from a policy point of view, I think this focus on bottlenecks, a national freight network, connectivity between modes, those kind of things are really, really, really important. Um, Stability in the funding models are really, really important, and therefore in the taxing models. And of course, this has some proposals on studies to think about how you fund the Highway Trust Fund. Um, that's really, really important. There's also some uh, uh, things that are being advanced around autonomous vehicles. That's going to be really, really important. And for those of you that don't study this, kind of thing for a living, think about autonomous vehicles.
Yeah,
Um, things that are also included in that bill are parking. Well, if we get enough autonomous vehicles, you don't need the parking provision. You don't need the bathroom access. Doesn't become as important. You have actually less vehicles on the road, and probably most importantly, um, connected autonomous vehicles. And I think I'm correct in this. The University of Michigan's Transportation Research Center did a lot of work on this within the last 10 years. The
yeah,
throughput for connected vehicles that accelerate at the same time, merge correctly, um, brake at the same time. 40% throughput, more throughput through the existing infrastructure. There's nothing we could do that has a bigger impact on safety and throughput than some of this forward looking stuff that they're thinking about.
no doubt about it. And well put. Let's transition over to funding, Randy. And I know I sent you an outline, but why don't I want to hit on the highway trust fund slash federal gasoline tax, and then we could circle back to perhaps some other funding avenues. With an eye on lowering fuel costs due to the ongoing situation in the Middle East, last month the White House proposed suspending the federal gasoline tax that's currently at 18.4 cents per gallon for gasoline and 24.4 cents for diesel, with those taxes collectively accounting for roughly 90% of Highway Trust Fund net revenues and are allocated for federal highways, transit, and highway safety programs. But the kicker here, for those listening in, they may not be aware, current highway trust fund tax levels have actually not been increased since 1993, or in other words, Bill Clinton's first term in office, to put that in perspective. The Highway Trust Fund has had financial challenges for years, um, teetering on the edge of insolvency, to be clear. What's really the remedy for this, Randy? Is it time to try something else, whether it's tolling, vehicle miles travel taxes, etc.? I mean, this is something that we've literally been talking about for years and years.
Yeah, so I think first off that stopping the federal fuels tax on cars, if you want to do it, fine. On trucks, I think it's a bad idea. Um, Everybody in the freight business gets a fuel surcharge,
Yeah.
and they don't make. I don't think that they make money off of the fuel surcharge anymore, but they do recoup the extra expense. So I'm not particularly worried about that. Collecting the fuel surcharge, or excuse me, the fuel tax rate, gas tax should be raised, and it should be indexed to inflation, so we don't keep having this argument every year. So that's first off. Secondly, as we go to more alternatively powered vehicles, we do need to start working in some kind of a VMT charge that has a differentiator. You know, it might be
Yeah.
a weight differentiator like registration now. It may be commercial vehicle versus car. It may be a petroleum powered vehicle pays 1 cent a mile and an electric vehicle pays 10 cents a mile. I have no idea what those numbers need to be, but we need to be working towards that. And it needs to be something that is handled uh, in a easy way, like on your federal tax return. The
Yeah.
beauty of the fuel tax is it's basically collected by a very few energy companies, um, and it's none of us have to fool with it.
Yeah.
So I don't think that that goes away. But boy, they're reluctant to raise any taxes, particularly in the Trump years. I don't see a tax increase. But as we go more and more towards alternatively powered vehicles, um, we definitely are going to need to have some kind of a VMT
Yeah.
uh, charge involved.
Yeah, I'd be very curious and interested to see how that develops going forward. Couple more here, Randy. A topic, a big topic over the years has always been centered around the truck size and weight debate inside Washington. I mean, there's been big debate over triples and then some type of, when I say triples, that's trailers and also
Yep.
doubles and different safety related concerns. There's been very directed slash borderline heated debates on both sides of this, or case making cases for and against larger trucks in terms of size and weight. How do you sort of what are your thoughts on that? And I won't lie, it's not I have not been paying a ton of attention to truck size and weight of late, but that doesn't mean that there isn't interest in the focus there. How do you sort of, where do things currently stand, I guess?
So I'll start a little bit at the beginning, just so listeners know. There are hundreds, probably thousands of exemptions to the existing federal truck size and weight. So the notion that the federal level is making sure everybody is staying at a low weight or a small size or whatever is false. They just can't cross state lines,
Okay.
can't run on the interstate highway. So it puts the biggest, heaviest trucks in a lot of these states and rural areas on the worst roads, harder on the bridges. It's harder.
Mhm.
So anyway, we also run every year billions of miles of triple 28 footers out west, Rocky Mountain doubles, which are a 48 footer and a 28 footer behind it.
Hmm.
So literally, we've got decades and decades and probably trillions of miles of experience with these things, and we know they work. But they're still scary looking if you're driving your little car down the road.
Oh,
Um,
no doubt.
as we're trying to figure out how we're putting 10 pounds in a 5 pound sack, truck size and weight should be part of that uh, uh, debate, discussion, and plan. And we should be trying to put the heaviest trucks on the best roads with the best bridges with the best drivers. And so we need to come up with a driver training regime that fits that. Um, the biggest bang for our buck right now, and there's a pilot that I think is included in this T&I bill, would be I think it's 91,000 pounds versus 80.
Yes. Yeah.
on a six axle um, uh, tractor trailer. So it'd have three axles on the back end, like they have in Europe,
Yeah.
instead of two. And the average, about 85%, if I remember my numbers right, of trucks, the single tractor trailers, weigh out before they cube out. It means they
Hmm.
got plenty of space left in them for more stuff. They just can't do that and stay below the 80,000 pound weight limit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Going to 91,000 pounds adds better than 20% more capacity to the 85% of the tractor trailers that are on the road today. The law of big numbers kicks in pretty quickly.
Yeah. So more
Uh,
freight. Yeah. More freight's being moved with a fewer amount of trucks.
right. So it takes care of the congestion problem, the environmental problems, a lot of the safety concerns. But people are more worried about the physics, and there's nothing you can do about this, of an 80,000 pound versus a 90,000 pound vehicle.
Yeah.
If you're driving a 3,000 pound car, you're going to lose. Now, back to that, if we have less congestion, we'll have less accidents. If we go autonomous, especially while autonomous vehicles are not perfect, on their worst day, they're better than the average human. And we just need to
Mhm.
get over that. Our
Yeah.
quest for perfect is getting in the way of really good. And, again, the technology is available. The safety technology is available on a driver driven truck. And we just need to start taking advantage of that.
No, for sure. For sure. Yeah, I like how you put that, how it's in terms of it being more efficient than a human on its worst day. That definitely is helps to really drive that point.
Oh,
Um,
and Jeff, I didn't even talk about what that does to the cost of goods sold
yeah,
and the
please,
amount of
please.
fuel that's used every year. I mean,
Hmm.
it it's the numbers are just staggering if you play that game out, especially over a decade.
Oh yeah, especially in light of what's happening with fuel prices at the moment too.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Which is obviously with the national diesel average hovering somewhere around 5 to 550 plus or around there. Actually, I think it went down a little bit. It's been going down a little bit in recent weeks, but not enough to truly move the needle to be sure. But Randy, a little more than a year ago, in March of 2025. The American Society of Civil Engineers, more commonly known as simply ASCE, issued its 2025 report card for the country's infrastructure. The United States Actually, let me back up. This report is released every 5 years for people listening in. This isn't an annual thing. The United States received a C grade. While this may initially seem underwhelming, it actually does represent an improvement compared to recent reports, with 2021 coming in, the U.S. coming in at a C minus, and in 2017 a D plus. It also marks the highest grade that U.S. infrastructure has actually ever received. So with that as a backdrop, Randy, sort of what needs to happen for United States infrastructure to make the dean's list, if you will?
I don't know enough about their methodology, Jeff, but my suspicion is that if we measured key corridors and major thoroughfares and those sorts of things, that we would already be in that B and B plus range.
Okay. Okay.
Um, a bridge that's way down the repair list on a secondary road could get counted as a D or an F by the
Right.
society. And I'm sure
Mhm.
they're just rolling up what state um, road and state departments of transportation are funneling to them. They're not going out and inspecting every bridge.
Of course. Of course.
Um,
Right.
so my sense is, uh, if you concentrate on the stuff that really matters, that we're actually doing a lot better,
Okay.
and that unless we are willing to probably double or triple our transportation budget, we're not going to get into that perfect world, nor am I sure we need to be.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. It's I mean, I guess the positive here, and again, uh who know, I mean, the methodology it obviously varies, but to go at least from a C minus to a D plus to a C, it's progress, right?
No, I was very pleased to see that. I thought maybe they got a new crew that was doing the report.
Yeah.
So we might have to figure that out. But
Yeah.
again,
No.
we actually had some catch up time over COVID, both in funding and in lower traffic to get
Hmm.
some of these projects done. A lot of money went to um, transit systems. A lot of money went to rail. We did a lot of new airport slots. So I mean, we did have an unusual time, between that previous report and now to pump a bunch of money into things when we really had a chance to build and we were trying to create jobs and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. All right, look, Randy, this brings us to the end of our allotted time for today's podcast. So, on behalf of Logistics Management Magazine and the Peerless Media Supply Chain Group, I'd just like to say thanks for returning to the podcast.
No, thank you, Jeff. I really enjoyed chatting with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Really appreciate it. Um, and for those listening in, please be sure to subscribe to our podcast. If you already are not doing so, simply just go punch in the Logistics Management Podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and it will pop right up. And also, please feel free to give us a follow over on Twitter, and that's simply at Logistics MGMT. Thanks, everyone, and have a great day. And we look forward to catching up with you next time. Thanks again.